There are at least 57 different kinds of sugars that can be added to processed foods. And when you're doing a carnivore diet, most of the time you're not going to run into any of them unless you're buying the occasional treat for yourself that is something like breakfast sausage or something. But in the keto world, you may run into these a lot because a lot of foods have a keto label put on them because they have a relatively low number of carbohydrates, usually done by people who don't understand keto and bought by people who don't understand that a clean ketogenic approach is the best way to do things. But there are at least 57 kinds of sugars that you will find in processed foods, broadly speaking. I'm going to talk to you today about some of them. I say some because we're going to ignore any of the ones that have names like syrup of any kind, like high fructose corn syrup or barley syrup, as a couple of examples. We're also not going to really mention agave nectar or honey because they're both pure sugar. You know that they're sugar. Whether you eat honey on your diet or not is your business. I wouldn't call it a carnivore diet if you're doing that, but what you do with your own food is your business at the end of the day. But that is a form of sugar, and it can be added to a lot of different things. Most store-bought bacon has cane sugar or some kind of beet sugar added to it. We're not going to cover those because, again, if you see the word sugar or syrup, I would assume you know that on the label that means that those are some kind of sugar. Whether they're glucose or fructose doesn't matter that much to me. But we're going to talk about some odd ones here that you might see on the pack, like on packs of, powdered, allegedly low carb or zero carb drinks, maybe in some processed meats that you might indulge in, especially like meat sticks and things of that kind. So let's just go through these. The first one is Florida crystals. I'm not even sure what those are, but I've seen those on labels before. Florida crystals, yes, like the state of Florida. The second and third one here should be obvious to anybody who has functional brain cells, but fruit juice or fruit juice concentrate are in fact going to be sugary. I know, you're shocked. What a revelation. If you're not in the United States, you might not be as familiar with molasses, but molasses is sugar as well. It is a concentrated sugar, and it's found in, most commonly, I think these days, found in barbecue sauces, mostly. You don't see a lot of molasses used for a lot of things, other than barbecue sauces and a couple of type of breads. The next one's another, I'm not even sure what it is, but it's other than sugar, but it's called Rapadura. And again, I'm trying to put these on the screen for you so you can see the names of them, but it is a kind of sugar. There's another one called sucanat. It's another kind of sugar. Again, these are just different names for sugars. Barley malt. The word malt should be the giveaway there, but if you see the word barley on the processed food processed meats you're thinking about buying for your keto diet or your carnivore diet, maybe you should pass it up just from the word barley alone. But barley malt's a kind of sugar. Here are the most common ones though. Dextrin, it's a corn-based sugar. Dextrose, also a corn-based sugar. Diastatic malt, there's that word again, malt. And they try to make it sound like it's a preservative with that diastatic name, but it's a type of sugar. Ethyl maltol. Here's a pro tip for you. You see the word mal involved in an ingredient? The stuff, as a prefix, it means bad. So, which is why the most notorious of all sugar alcohols, by the way, which are not the same thing as sugars, the most notorious one is maltitol, which is not the same as ethyl maltol. But maltitol is the most notorious because it tends to give people diarrhea. Remember those Haribo gummy bears that people laugh at the reviews of on Amazon? Those are sweetened with maltitol, as are the overwhelming majority of allegedly keto candies, the ones especially made by big candy companies. I think Russell Stover, okay, or the keto versions of peanut butter cups that you see. Unfortunately, they are sweetened with the thing that will send you to the bathroom the fastest. The next one should be obvious. Glucose or glucose solids. Glucose is sugar. Glucose solids are just solidified sugar. That's all it is. It's kind of like corn syrup solids. There's not much of a difference between that and corn syrup. Lactose, that's a milk sugar. This is the kind of stuff you're going to find in most of your dairy products, even traces in cheese. You won't find it in butter so much, but you will find it in cheese and some other things. The next is malt syrup. Again, the word syrup and the word malt. I mean, this is like a double sugar there. Here's another common one, maltodextrin. This stuff, along with the dextrin and dextrose I mentioned earlier, you will find very often in sausages that you buy at the store, especially like kielbasa style. Think Hillshire Farm or some of those kind of brands. You will see those kind of sugars listed in the meat. And then you have maltose, which is another sugar. And then something I'd never heard of before this, D-ribose. I'm not even sure what this is, but it's a sugar. So when you see this stuff in the meat department, or like you're buying a ham or something, this is what you're looking at. And the final one here is galactose, which sounds like a comic book villain, but galactose. It's like lactose, but much larger, I guess. But these are sugars. You can find these in processed foods. So if you're doing keto, please read the labels of any processed thing you buy. I'd advise getting off of, processed foods entirely. But even the strict, even people who do like fairly strict carnivore, not quite strict carnivore, will indulge sometimes in processed sausages and things. And so you're going to run into this stuff all the time. And so the question you have to ask yourself is, are these bad for you? Well, I mean, they're sugars. They're going to have the effect on your insulin that sugars will have. It will kick off an insulin response of some kind, a trace amount, maybe, maybe not. But, think about it this way. If you're having breakfast sausage and you're deciding you're going to have a bunch of it, you're going to be consuming a fair amount of this stuff. Even 1 or 2 grams a serving of carbs, that's probably where the carbs are coming from, are going to be that and the binding ingredients that hold those sausages together. So this is why ultimately, while I say do whatever version of carnivore or keto, I guess, that works for you, that gets you to your goals, ultimately everyone should give a very serious thought to doing strict carnivore, as strict as they can make it work. The reason you want to do that, of course, is because as all the big name influencers who are all medical doctors and scientists and nutritionists will tell you, the best results come from the most strict version of carnivore. That's what they'll tell you. Now, if you're getting the results that you're happy to live with, doing, relaxed carnivore with your coffee and, eating breakfast sausages sometimes, that's your business. You're the only one who can make those decisions for yourself. Let me know what you thought of this in the comments, please. In the pinned comment should be a link to the article I pulled this from, because it breaks these down into different categories of sugars. I know people debate fructose versus glucose. It's sugar. I don't care. It's sugar. But if you want to read it, it should be in the pinned comment. Let me know what you thought of this in the comments, please. Like and subscribe if you haven't. It really does help. Share this on social media if you can. That helps a lot as well. I'm Anthony Stine, the Practical Carnivore. Thanks for your time.